Hey everybody, welcome to the FN Studios. John Ramtine alongside Robin Black. UFC 205 quickly approaching, going down this Saturday night at Madison Square Garden. A loaded card. And when you have a fight like Rashad Evans, Tim Kennedy falling apart, it's like, oh no. Do you really want to tune into the card? When you look how stacked this event is, you can lose a fight of this magnitude and still be jazzed for the event going down on Saturday.
Yes, you absolutely can. Like we were talking about, who are they going to get? And you look at the names, you're like,
no, you don't need to.
Tim Kennedy, I think you're going to be on another card because that is a stacked card. But hey, man, speaking of, like, have you seen what Rashad looks like right now? 190. So on Dana White's Twitter, I think one of the boys will put it up for you here. On Dana White's Twitter, he's like, hey, look how good Rashad looks at 195 pounds. This is the guy's weight class, no doubt about that. But an MRI, and they didn't say the specifics, but often that is a scan of the brain. You can use MRIs on other parts of the body, but often it's a scan of the brain. They found something kind of inconsistent or irregular, and the commission's like, you are not fighting. Rashad's healthy. He says everything is good. Maybe we'll get him on UFC 206 in Toronto.
Amazing. When you look at, especially when you see that picture and 195 pounds, you imagine him dropping 10 pounds, started as a heavyweight, moved down to 205 pounds, became the 205-pound champion. We know the landscape has changed so much. Do you believe, like you believe that Frankie Edgar should have probably fought his entire career at 135 pounds? Was 185 pounds probably the weight class for Rashad Evans?
100%. Oh, wait, right. He was the 205 champion also. Yeah. So, you know, but imagine, but everything changes too. You know, if you eat different, you sleep different, you train different, it's all connected. The man was the 205-pound champion of the world. He laid out Chuck Liddell. So this guy's legit at 205 pounds. But yeah, you look at that weight, you look how good he looks, how lean he looks. Yikes, you don't want to get in there with that, Rashad. But one thing I want to tell you a story about an MRI. When I was working for the Score Fighting Series, you and I commentated a number of those. We did some with Morrow as well, Chavello. It was really fun organization. And Sokaju had an MRI, and he was fighting on the card. And the commission looked at it and said, oh my God, this is serious. There's a growth on his brain. He cannot fight. And Sokaju said he was fine. Everybody was a little freaked out. They got a second opinion. They said, actually, this is just a very common bone growth that happens to be here. It's not of any kind of risk. It is not harmful, and you can fight 100%. So you can clarify these MRIs, and then you find out there's nothing wrong with it. I bet there's a decent chance that's the case with Rashad here. It's one of those medical things that with further research would be proven that he's fine. But New York is a new commission, and they're not messing around.
I would imagine these are just some of the mental hurdles that can affect a professional that is in kind of the twilight of their mixed martial arts career to kind of question things like, oh, the best cut I ever had, looking good, then the fight doesn't happen. So how does a fighter, especially when they're in the later stages of their career, hang on to these things, say, oh yeah, these are just bumps in the road that you still have to deal with even when you have all this experience and if you've achieved the things that you've already achieved in the sport?
On one hand, it is easier because you have achieved all those things and you have been down all these roads and you have dealt with a lot of challenges.
You still want to fight.
On the other hand, it's tougher because you know how unique and how special each one of these last opportunities is. Each of these last moments, you know, if you've only got a few more, you really start to savor them now. And Rashad would have been savoring this and feeling good and looking good. It's rough news for him. So, you know, and it's rough news for Kennedy too. But life will go on. Hey, why don't you guys fight on UFC 206?
And that's what we're going to cross our fingers for. Maybe they can get this 185-pound matchup on UFC 206 going down in Toronto.